Good morning, happy Tuesday. How happy am I, first of all, just to say that today it's supposed to be 19 degrees outside, no wind in Regina, and I'm wearing a sundress. Can you tell how excited I am? Super happy that today is a dress day, a sun dress day. I love the sun. I could talk about that forever. Laying on beaches is my thing. Basking in the sun rays is my thing. And I wanted to share this story with you because this is about somebody who was always posting, always commenting on all of my posts, especially this angel painting behind me. I know you guys can't see it all, but there she is. She's big. I think she's 5 feet by 5 feet. So, hi Jessica, good morning. So this man found me on Facebook. I friend a lot of people for my business, and he was the kind of man who would comment on everything that I posted. He was so supportive, and he would always send me a lot of messages too. Just so open, sharing his life story with me, and persistent at asking me on dates for coffee. And I just was never drawn to him. I was never attracted to him in that way, but I was always kind, always grateful for his support. So this is so cool. Stay tuned because I have so many moments like this in my life. I call them God moments. A lot of people consider it just intuition. It's so much more than that to me. I feel like it's when Spirit literally speaks to me and guides me to do something specific without my understanding at the beginning. And it creates this story that I call a God moment that really I have to turn to when life starts to feel hard. And these moments are filled with love. So one day I was driving to Michael's to buy some canvases, or it was paint, it doesn't matter. Anyways, and I was passing a Tim Hortons, and it was like this immediate pull that I knew I needed to go in there and specifically spend $100 on people buying their orders. And by the time this had happened, I had already passed it. So I decided I would go to Michael's first and stop there on my way home. Well, I go to Michael's, and this is when masks weren't mandatory yet, but people were starting to wear them. So I wasn't wearing one. But I was standing in line to purchase my order, and I saw a man and his daughter. And I just kind of overheard what was happening, and he was talking about, well, can I just give you my credit card number? And it's so funny how we judge, because as soon as I heard that, I was like, what is this guy, like, trying to rip them off or something? And then I looked at what he was buying, and it was a little thread, like, of yarn. And I just went right over and I said, is that all you're trying to buy? And he said, yes, I left my wallet at home. And he was wearing a mask and his daughter is wearing a mask. And I said, oh my gosh, just let me buy it. Don't even worry about it. And I have never seen somebody so happy and so relieved. And the thing cost 77 cents, right? And he's like, can I buy you a coffee? And I was like, no, that's okay. Like, I totally got, and I just thought it was funny that I was planning on going to Tim Hortons after. So I bought his little thread of yarn and he left. And so I left Michael's. I was driving back the same way towards a Tim Hortons. And I find the universe so funny because for whatever reason, I didn't even notice the construction on that side of the road when I was going to Michael's. And there was all this construction, so I couldn't actually turn into the Tim Hortons. And I laughed out loud. I was like, the universe really wants to get me to the Tim Hortons at a specific time. It's like I knew this. So it took me on this detour to be able to actually turn around and pull into the Tim Hortons on the same side as when I first passed it. And I pulled up to the parking lot turned off my car, looked out my window, and I saw this big white truck pulling up at the same time. And I saw these two men get out of this truck, and I'm getting out of my car, and I laughed out loud. Here is this man who's always commenting on my Facebook posts, sending me messages, always asking me for coffee, and I laughed out loud, and he had the biggest grin on his face because we recognized each other, right? And he had the biggest grin on his face. He was there on his lunch break, and he was just lit up, and I was smiling and laughing. And I said, "Today's your lucky day." And he was like, "Why? Because you're here?" I said, "Well, no, that's part of it." I said, "I guess your wish came true, right?" Because he always wanted to have coffee with me. Oh my God, I love this story so much, if you can't tell. So I said, "No, that's not the reason. You'll find out in a second." So we go inside, and they're obviously the only two guys in there. It's around lunchtime. And I said, "You guys go ahead and order first." So they ordered, and I interrupted after they were done ordering, and I'm like, "It's on me." And he's like, "But we're ordering lunch." And I said, "It's okay, I got it. It's on me." And he was like, "Wow." He's like, "This is how I also tithe. I just like randomly tithe like that." So he had a couple things that I did know about him is he had completely handed his life over to Jesus and changed his life around. And oh, this story gives me goosebumps. Just bear with me as I share it. It brings up some emotions too. Whew. So he figured out that I was there. I actually handed the lady my $100 bill, and I said, "Please, split up some money." I think I gave $40 to drive through so they didn't feel left out. And as people were walking in, I let them order, and I said, "Don't worry about it, it's on me." And the reactions that I got from the people were funny. There was one guy I remember that he had a hard time receiving it. And then there was other people being like, "What did I do to deserve this?" But the entire time, his name was Brad, he stood there and watched the whole thing. And I'll never forget what he said to me. Whew, I shouldn't have put my makeup on yet. He said to me, "You're even more beautiful than I imagined. And you're exactly what God told me you were." So it was a really fun 20 minutes after watching these people receive their meals for free. And it's funny, usually when things like that happen in my life, I post about them on Facebook. And for whatever reason, I didn't. I was like, no, I'm just going to keep that between me and God and the people that experienced it. And I have to go look back. I'm terrible at timelines. I think it was August or September of last year. I received this message from this girl who I didn't know, and she was asking if I knew who Brad was. And I didn't answer her right away because I thought, oh my gosh, I judged. I'll just be honest. I was judging that maybe she had some dirt on him and I didn't want to be involved, so I just ignored it. And then a few days later, she messaged me again and she said, "Sorry to bother you again, but I see that he commented on all of your posts and I was just wondering if you knew him. I'm his sister." And so I messaged her back and I said, "I didn't know him well, but he used to message me all the time." And she shared with me that he had passed away. And it's so crazy and so I call crazy those moments of like where you don't think and you just follow something else, something bigger than you, like your spirit. And I picked up the phone and I called her through Facebook Messenger. And she shared with me that he had passed away of natural causes and they weren't quite sure exactly what happened yet. And she shared that she was in BC and he was here in Regina. And I shared this story with her. I felt like she needed to hear it. The story about what happened that day at Tim Hortons. And we bonded. Complete stranger I bonded with. And I just find it so phenomenal how these series of events can happen in life to connect you with certain people in a certain way at a certain time. Because I actually ended up meeting her while she was here for the funeral. We met for coffee. I had just published my book. Okay, so it was later. Now I'm remembering. It was October. I published my book. The last message I actually got for him was he wanted to buy a copy. So I gave her one. This story makes me emotional still because if I hadn't listened to this, to my intuition, to God, to the spirit within me that day, I would have never gone into that Tim Hortons. And I never would have made his dream come true. I know it sounds crazy, but it was his dream to meet me. And I would have never been able to hear those words he spoke to me. And I never would have been able to see the joy that he got just as from me giving. And I know that I gave him something that day, but I had no idea what he would give me from that experience. So I'm a blobbering mess now. So this painting behind me means so much. It has so much value in it. And it makes sense now why Spirit guided me to it being the first one in the series. So I am going to leave it there and go enjoy some sunshine before I do this crazy big course this afternoon that I'm really excited about. And I really want to say, don't ignore those intuitive pulls, you guys. Don't ignore those inspired thoughts that you get, how illogical they are. Never, ever, 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 ever ignore them. They are, you just can't. You can't guess what they'll be. You can never guess what they'll be. That is a story that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. And I am so grateful. That story expanded my heart, my belief in God, and how we're all so truly connected. And also, to never judge a person by how they express themselves, what they look like, what they wear, because inside, we're all God in disguise. I love you. Happy Tuesday.